Well, it's been a tough few years for America, but a new survey this week shows Americans are still optimistic, at least when it comes to their own ability to attain the American dream.
Xavier University found 63% are confident they can reach their personal goals. In fact, 75% say in some ways they're already there. But when it comes to Washington and Wall Street, a different number. A staggering 83% have less trust in politics in general than they did 10 to 15 years ago. And big business, the government, did not fare much better. Tom Brokaw is NBC News special correspondent. He joins us now to talk about some of these results. In some ways, it's heartening, Tom, after everything that this country has been through in terms of the Great Recession, that people still believe they can reach the American dream. I want to put a result up that 63% said they still were fairly confident, extremely confident that they can reach the American dream. And I guess part of it's how they define that phrase.
Well, I think that's always the issue with the American dream. It's actually a phrase that did not come into play in this country until 1931 in a book called The Epic of America, written by James Truslow Adams. He described it not as wishing for another motor car or higher wages alone, but the fulfillment of what he called the social order, that everyone should be able to fulfill their capabilities according to their innate strengths, and that they should be judged for who they are, not the circumstances of their birth. That's kind of a wide, but I think appropriate description of the American dream. I suppose the coda to it now would be that my children will have a better life than I do. If we were to add that to this question, there may be some greater reservation in America. It is, I think, testimony, however, to the continuing appeal of this country. We are, after all, still a nation of immigrants. Around the world, people want to come here to fulfill what they think is the American dream. So that number, more than 60% at this stage, given all that we've been through, with the economy in a sharp downturn, we're in 2 wars, entering a third one now, I think it's a pretty heartening number.
It was the resiliency factor. You brought up the world aspect to this and sort of America's place in the world. 2 poll numbers I want to put up that was surprising to me here was they asked about the U.S. standing in the world. Last year, did the U.S. represent the future, or was the world looking to others? That fell from 45% saying the U.S. represents the future down to 39% this time, 57% saying the world looks to others. And then who has the strongest claim to the future? Sounds familiar, the whole Obama administration winning the future. Well, look at here, the strongest claim to the future, no surprise, Tom, China.
Yeah, but China gets a lot of play, but China has a world of problems as well that probably don't get enough attention in this country. There's no question about it. China, when I first went there, Chuck, in 1974, was living in the 19th century. In the city of Beijing, they had hutongs, which were primitive huts, really, where everybody had a communal standpipe. Now, as you know, it's not just a 21st century city, but a 22nd century city. At the same time, they got hundreds of millions of people moving from the countryside into the cities. They've got to provide jobs for them and power and all the toys of a consumer society. We're already beginning to see the underbubbling of some resistance, especially among the new generation when it comes to the use of internet and having freedom of expression. So while they're getting a lot of attention, and with good reason, because they've gone from that China that I described in 1974 now to the second most powerful economy in the world, they still have their work cut out for them as well. But it has changed the equation here. We're no longer just Fortress America. We've got big competitors, India, China, Korea, other places.
And in about the 60 seconds we have left, leading right to it, views of immigration. This is interesting. The final result was people still said that they believe people come here for a better life. They don't believe, or only 36 believe, that people were coming here to take advantage of government handouts. So does that show that, I guess it's another way of saying people still believe in this American dream?
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. And I think that if you go out across the country, as I have a lot in the last couple of years, Savannah, you find people who are working side by side with both legal and undocumented workers, and they're very impressed by their work ethic and by their hope that they'll have a realization of the American dream. And in many areas in the country, even as far north as the Great Plains and into Montana, if those illegal immigrants returned to their native countries, a lot of the parts of the American economy would come to a halt because they're doing the jobs that a lot of other people just don't want to do.
That's right. And the growth, the census numbers are unbelievable. There's growth of the Hispanics in places we weren't talking about even 10